Oh man, I hope that dripping will stop any time soon. Oh, hello, my dear friend. Don't mind that sound above us. There seems to be a leak in the roof, and it's been dripping all afternoon. It's a bit annoying at first, but after a while you stop noticing. You simply adapt to it. And that, my friend, reminds me of something that happened not long ago. It was a Wednesday evening. I was out for a little walk. Nothing special, just one of those casual strolls where your legs move and your thoughts wander. On one side of me was a moderately busy road, not bustling, but not empty either. And on the other side, a small park. Trees gathered together in patches, paths cutting through the green like veins, and a gentle evening hue casting long shadows between the trunks. As I walked, I thought about how much the time of day changes the character of a place. The same street that felt dull and practical by day now felt mysterious, almost adventurous. The way the city lights hit the leaves, the way sounds echoed, it made everything feel different. I looked to the trees beside me and realized something strange. None of them bore fruit, not a single berry or apple or anything of the sort. But I reminded myself, fruit isn't what gives a tree its worth. Even a fruitless tree gives us oxygen, beauty, and shelter. And that made me think, do fruit trees and non-fruit trees produce the same amount of oxygen? Probably not the most urgent question in the world, but still, it's fascinating what the mind decides to ponder on an evening walk. Suddenly, a flicker of light caught my eye, a firefly, glowing so brilliantly against the dimming sky, hovering just above the darker part of the park. It wasn't the soft kind of glow. No, this one was bright, pulsing almost. I watched it, mesmerized, until I took one step too far. And just like that, the ground vanished. I fell straight down through a storm drain. No warning, no time to brace myself, just a sudden drop into darkness. When I landed, I found myself in a narrow concrete corridor, not quite tight but not exactly roomy either. I stretched out my arms. Yes, still enough room to move comfortably, but it certainly wasn't ideal. The space smelled damp, and the sound of dripping water echoed from somewhere deeper inside. I stood there, gathering my thoughts. Panic wasn't useful, so I pushed it aside. There was no ladder, and the walls were far too smooth to climb. Yelling for help didn't feel right either. This part of the walkway wasn't exactly well traveled, so I did what I had to do. I moved forward. After a few meters, I found a small round tunnel, just big enough to crawl through. At the other end, I emerged into a larger chamber, and that's where I heard it, a rush of roaring water. Lure me in closer to its sound, and there it was. To my left, a massive grate with water pouring through it, forceful and endless. To my right, a deep trench disappearing into the earth, so dark I couldn't see the bottom. Ahead of me, spanning the rushing water, was a single wooden plank. It was thick, solid, probably left there by some workers ages ago. I stepped carefully onto it, balancing my way across, and paused halfway to look down. The water crashed far beneath me, a roaring mix of shadows and shine. I couldn't help but think how so much happens beneath our feet, unseen, Systems working, water flowing, life existing, all of it out of sight. And as I crossed, another thought struck me. I once bought a calendar to track my diet, just for health's sake. My wife saw it and thought I was hinting at her cooking. Ridiculous, of course. She's a world-class cook. 80% vegetables, 20% meats, always balanced and delicious. No need for concern. Still, she gave me a look I won't forget. We laughed eventually. Anyway, onward. I crawled through the next tunnel and came to another chamber. This one was simpler, less dramatic. Just a low room with old pipes crossing overhead and a few wooden planks tossed around. Water trickled quietly from small vents near the ceiling. And then I saw something unexpected. A glimmer, half buried in a puddle. It was an old bracelet, blue with tiny polished stones. They reminded me of agate, not shiny on the outside, but inside, swirls of color like frozen galaxies in stone. I used to wear one just like it. There was also a broken wooden spoon nearby, split in two. How it got there, I'll never know, but it made me wonder what stories lie behind the things we throw away. I pocketed the bracelet, left the spoon behind, and kept going. The next set of tunnels was messier. The walls were older, stained, and parts of the floor were slippery. I reached a fork, left or forward. I paused. There were no signs, no logic. So I trusted something else. My gut. It's never led me astray, not once. So I turned left. It was darker there, but not unfriendly, just quieter. As I crawled, a small creature skittered past me. A mouse or a rat, I wasn't sure. Probably a rat. Then another one, smaller, perhaps a beetle, hugging the wall. It reminded me how even the tiniest lives have a place. We may not see their purpose, but that doesn't mean they lack one. Eventually, I reached another drop, just a short one this time. I landed in ankle-high water and spotted another wooden plank ahead. By now, I'd grown used to these. They felt like secret bridges only the curious would find. I crossed the plank, stepped through a final tunnel, and there it was. A ladder, old, metal, rusty, but sturdy. Above me, a round opening. Light pouring through, I climbed, rung after rung, until finally I emerged, outside. I was surrounded by temporary fences and construction cones. Apparently this was a closed-off part of town undergoing repairs. Funny thing is, I was less than 200 meters away from where I'd fallen in. The world above felt strangely plain after all I'd just seen. Still, I was happy to be back. I walked home quietly, shoes squishing slightly with each step, and when I reached my door, I paused. I turned around and looked at the street, the sidewalk, the passing cars, and I thought, wow, I just realized just because something stays hidden doesn't mean it isn't there, and sometimes it's the unseen parts of life that carry the most meaning.